The night sky was burning. Cities that once glowed with human lights were now covered in fire and smoke. Above the clouds, enormous alien ships floated like dark mountains. Their shadows stretched across oceans and continents. Humanity looked up in silence, fear filling every heart. Then came the voice. A deep, metallic voice spread through every broadcast, every radio, every screen. It was the alien commander. He spoke with cold pride. Our armor is indestructible. No human weapon can break it. This world is now ours. His words echoed across the earth, a final warning to all who still dared to resist. The first attack began at dawn. Alien troops dropped from the skies, tall creatures covered in shining black armor. Bullets from human rifles bounced off their suits like raindrops on stone. Tanks fired shells, but the explosions only pushed the invaders back for seconds. When the smoke cleared, the aliens stood unharmed, their glowing eyes fixed on the terrified defenders. They raised their strange weapons, beams of burning energy cutting through metal and flesh alike. Cities fell in hours. Soldiers were crushed, civilians scattered. Humanity had never seen such destruction. The aliens marched without fear, their voices filled with laughter as they crushed everything in their path. "You are weak," one alien shouted as his armored fist slammed into a building, breaking it apart. "Your time is over." People ran through the streets, searching for safety, but there was none. The aliens left nothing behind. They burned hospitals, schools, and homes, leaving only ashes. Entire armies disappeared under the invaders' advance. For every human bullet, the aliens answered with fire and death. The world was drowning in despair. But in the middle of the chaos, something else was happening. Far from the destroyed cities, hidden deep underground, a small human team watched the invasion. They were not panicking. They were not running. They were waiting. On a wall of screens, they studied every move of the aliens. Their leader, an older man with sharp eyes, spoke in a calm voice. "They believe their armor makes them gods. They believe we cannot touch them. That is their mistake." The others in the room nodded. Scientists, soldiers, engineers, different faces, one purpose. While the world above burned, they had prepared. For months, maybe years, they had known this day would come. And now they were ready. Back on the surface, the alien commanders grew confident. They mocked the human resistance. "Your weapons are useless," they declared as they crushed another army. "No one can harm us." Their laughter was cold, filled with arrogance. To them, the humans were nothing but insects. Yet in the shadows of the ruined city, whispers began to spread. Some alien squads that entered the darker streets did not return. Patrols reported strange sounds, sudden disappearances, and fear started creeping into their proud ranks. But still, the commanders ignored it. They believed their armor made them invincible. They could not imagine what humans were planning. The narrator's voice grows darker. Humanity had always been underestimated. They had always been called fragile, weak, unprepared. But humanity had survived everything before. Ice ages, plagues, wars, and disasters. And now, as the alien fire consumed the skies, humanity was preparing once again. Their strength was not in their weapons. Their strength was in their minds. The camera lingers on the human leader as he stares at the screens. His voice is low, almost a whisper. "Let them believe their armor is unbreakable. We will not break it. We will break them." Above ground, alien banners rose over fallen cities. Their ships circled the planet like vultures, waiting for the last human screams to fade. But somewhere in the dark, humanity was watching. Humanity was waiting. And soon, humanity would strike back. The alien army entered the ruined city with confidence. Smoke still rose from the burning buildings, and the streets were empty. The silence felt strange, but the soldiers did not care. Their heavy boots crushed glass and stone as they marched through the shadows. To them, this was only another dead place, another victory. Their commander raised his hand and spoke through the helmet speakers. Search every corner. Find the survivors. End them all. His voice was cold, certain. The aliens spread out into the streets, their glowing eyes scanning the ruins. They believed there was no danger. Their armor was indestructible. Nothing could touch them. At first, everything seemed quiet. The streets held only broken cars, shattered walls, and the smell of smoke. But then one soldier turned a corner and did not return. His signal vanished from the commander's tracker. At first, they thought it was a mistake. The city was full of wreckage and interference. But then another signal vanished. Then another. The commander growled in anger. Find them, he ordered. His voice was steady, but his hands tightened around his weapon. Something was wrong. The soldiers entered a dark alley. They moved carefully now, scanning every shadow. The sound of their boots echoed on the stone walls. One alien stepped over a broken door when suddenly his helmet camera went black. The squad turned, weapons ready, but there was no one there. Only silence. Report! The commander shouted into the comms, but no voice answered. Just static. A second later, another soldier screamed, his voice sharp and full of fear before it cut off. The rest of the squad froze. These were not screams of pain from battle. These were screams of terror. The aliens had fought many wars on many worlds, but this was different. Something unseen was hunting them. For the first time, they felt doubt. They fired their weapons into the shadows, beams of energy lighting up the broken street. Walls collapsed, fires spread, but when the smoke cleared, nothing was there. Not a single body, not a single clue. Their armor had protected them from every weapon in the galaxy, yet now it meant nothing. Their greatest strength was useless against an enemy they could not even see. Above them, the alien commander cursed. Do not fear. Nothing can harm us. Find the humans. His voice was loud, but it carried more anger than confidence. He could not understand what was happening. Soldiers were disappearing, one by one, without a trace. Somewhere in the shadows, humans were watching. In the darkness of the ruined buildings, hidden cameras followed the alien patrols. The human resistance was not wasting bullets. They were not attacking with force. They were waiting for the right moment, studying every move. A scientist whispered into his radio. The traps are working. Their fear is growing. A soldier beside him smiled. Let them think ghosts are hunting them. Fear will break them faster than fire. Back in the streets, another alien squad entered a subway tunnel. The place was dark, damp, filled with echoes. Their armor lights flickered on the wet walls. Suddenly, the doors behind them slammed shut with a heavy crash. They tried to open them, but the locks held firm. Then came the sound. A deep, low rumble moving through the tunnels. At first, they thought it was an explosion. But then they saw water rushing toward them. A flood roared through the tunnel, faster than they could react. They raised their weapons, but it was too late. The wave hit them with crushing force, dragging them into the darkness. Their armor was indestructible, but it was also heavy. Once they fell, they could not rise again. Their own armor became their cage, trapping them as the flood carried them away. The commander listened to their screams through the comms until the signals vanished. His fists shook with rage. Impossible, he growled. But deep inside, he felt something he had never known before. Fear. Above ground, the city remained silent. Broken windows stared like empty eyes, and every shadow seemed alive. The aliens moved slower now. Their steps were careful. Their weapons shook in their hands. They were beginning to realize the truth. This was not just a battle. This was a hunt. Humanity was not attacking with strength. Humanity was attacking with terror. And the aliens, for all their indestructible armor, were not ready for it. In their ships above the earth, the alien leaders argued. Why are we losing contact with so many squads? One demanded. Another answered with anger. The humans are using tricks. Nothing more. But their voices carried doubt. Deep down, they understood something dangerous. The humans had found a way to strike without touching the armor. The humans were attacking the mind. And that was something no armor could stop. In the shadows of the city, the human leader watched the screens. His eyes were calm, his voice steady. "They think they are hunters," he whispered. "But tonight, they are the prey." Deep underground, far from the ruined cities and burning skies, the human resistance gathered inside their hidden base. The walls shook faintly with the sound of distant explosions above, but inside the control room there was only focus and silence. Screens glowed with images from drones, satellites, and hidden cameras placed across the war zone. Every movement of the alien invaders was tracked, every squad marked, every disappearance recorded. The leader of the resistance stood at the center of the room. His hair was gray, his eyes sharp, and his voice steady. "They think their armor makes them gods," he said. "But armor cannot protect them from the world itself." Around him, soldiers, engineers, and scientists leaned closer, listening carefully. They had been preparing for this moment long before the invasion began. Humanity had always known that one day something would come from the stars, something stronger, something more advanced. And so, in secret, they had built plans not for weapons of destruction, but for survival and for fear. A scientist adjusted his glasses as he pointed at one of the screens. "Their armor seals them completely. No air in, no air out. It protects them from bullets, fire, and blades. But that armor is also a prison. If we control the environment, the armor becomes their weakness." Another scientist added, "Their suits are strong, but they depend on their own systems. Cut off the power, and they cannot move. Flood the tunnels, and they drown inside their own cages. Trap them underground, and they suffocate." The soldiers smiled grimly. These were not weapons of strength. These were weapons of the mind. The aliens had superior firepower, but humans had superior creativity. The leader nodded. "Good. Then we attack with the world itself. We use the city as our weapon." On the screens, the images shifted. Hidden traps were marked on maps. Collapsing buildings prepared with explosives, tunnels rigged with water and fire, and sound systems hidden in ruins ready to whisper fear into alien helmets. Each plan was carefully designed not to destroy armor but to destroy confidence. One young soldier spoke, his voice filled with determination. "They believe we are weak. They believe we can only fight with guns. They don't understand us. They don't understand that humans always adapt." The leader looked at him and smiled faintly. "Exactly. That is our strength. We don't fight harder. We fight smarter." Meanwhile, above the ground, the aliens tried to regroup. Their commanders shouted orders, demanding discipline. They told their soldiers not to fear the shadows, not to believe the tricks. Yet the fear was spreading fast. Squads refused to enter dark tunnels. Patrols jumped at every sound. Some even fired at empty streets, wasting energy in panic. The resistance was watching all of it. Every broken squad was proof that their plan was working. One scientist leaned closer to the microphone and whispered instructions to a hidden team in the city. "Activate the sonic traps." Minutes later, deep in the ruins, an alien squad heard a faint sound in their helmets. At first it was static, then it became whispers. Low, human voices, speaking words they could not understand. The sounds grew louder, echoing inside their armored heads, like ghosts whispering in their ears. The soldiers panicked, pulling off their comms, shouting to each other. Their weapons shook as the whispers turned into screams. One of them fell to his knees, clawing at his helmet, trying to escape the voices that were not real. From a hidden room, the human resistance watched through cameras and recorded the results. The scientists smiled darkly. Their minds are more fragile than their armor. The leader stepped forward and spoke with calm authority. "This is only the beginning. We will not fight them with strength. We will not fight them with weapons. We will fight them with fear, with confusion, with the world itself. Let them think we are weak. Let them believe we cannot touch them. That belief is the knife we will turn against them." His voice grew harder. "Every trap, every sound, every shadow will remind them that they are not safe. And when their fear grows strong enough, they will make mistakes. Mistakes we will use to finish them." The soldiers in the room nodded, their eyes burning with determination. They were outnumbered. They were outgunned. But they were not outsmarted. Humanity had always faced stronger enemies before: nature, disease, even themselves. And every time, they had survived. The aliens did not know it yet, but the war was already turning. In the darkness of the ruined city, another trap was prepared. Entire streets were wired with charges, waiting for alien patrols to enter. The humans did not need to kill them directly. They only needed to collapse the buildings, burying them alive in rubble. The armor would not break, but it would hold them down, leaving them helpless in the dark. Already, reports showed alien squads calling for rescue, trapped beneath tons of stone and steel. Their suits kept them alive, but they could not move. They could not fight. They could only wait and fear. Back in the control room, the leader gave the final words for the night. "They came to this world thinking we were weak. But this world is ours. Every street, every wall, every shadow belongs to us. We will turn our world into their grave." And as the humans prepared their next move, above the earth, the alien fleet continued to circle, blind to the truth that their greatest enemy was not human weapons, but the human mind. The alien commander stood inside the ruins of a captured human building, his armored fists pressed against the table as he glared at the holoscreens showing the battlefield. Reports were coming in from every squad. Soldiers missing. Patrols cut off. Strange noises on the comms. Entire units refusing to move into the dark streets. His voice thundered as he shouted, "You are warriors. You fear nothing. The humans cannot harm us." But even as he spoke, he saw the hesitation in the glowing eyes of his troops. They stood tall in their indestructible armor, yet their hands trembled slightly on their weapons. These were soldiers who had fought on many worlds, who had crushed countless species without effort. But here, on Earth, something was different. Something was breaking them from the inside. Outside the ruined building, the city was a maze of shadows and smoke. Fires burned in the distance, and the air was heavy with ash. Alien squads marched carefully, scanning every corner with their lights. Their armor made them look invincible, but their movements were no longer confident. Every sound made them stop. Every shadow made them raise their weapons. Suddenly, one squad received orders to investigate a subway station. Their commander barked, "Clear it. No delays." The soldiers entered the dark stairs, their lights flickering on cracked walls. At first, it was silent. Then a low metallic groan echoed through the tunnel. The sound grew louder, like the city itself was alive. Before they could react, the ceiling above them exploded. Tons of concrete and steel collapsed, burying the squad in rubble. Their armor protected them from the crushing impact, but it also trapped them. They could not move. They could not dig themselves out. Their comms filled with static as they screamed for help, but no rescue came. The city itself had swallowed them whole. In the command center, the alien leader slammed his fist on the table. "Impossible," he roared. "No human weapon could do this." Yet deep inside, he knew it was not weapons. It was something else. The humans were using the world itself as a weapon. On another street, a patrol marched through broken cars and twisted metal. The silence was so heavy that even their own footsteps sounded like drums. Suddenly, a strange sound filled their helmets, a child's laughter. Soft at first, then louder, echoing inside their armored heads. The soldiers froze, aiming their weapons in every direction, but there was no one there. The laughter turned into cries, then screams, then whispers in a language they did not understand. The soldiers began shouting over the comms, panicking, trying to shut down their helmets. But the sound would not stop. Their own armor, once their greatest protection, had become their prison. They stumbled through the street, firing wildly, until one by one their signals vanished. Watching from hidden cameras, the human resistance smiled grimly. The traps were working. The aliens were breaking. In the underground base, the leader observed the screens with calm eyes. "They are beginning to panic," he said. "Fear is spreading faster than fire." The scientists nodded. It is only a matter of time before they start to collapse. Above ground, the signs of collapse were already there. Alien squads refused to leave their armored vehicles. Some refused to enter tunnels at all. Commanders shouted at them, threatened them, but fear was stronger than discipline. One alien officer reported to the leader, his voice shaking. "Sir, they are saying the city is cursed. They are saying the humans are ghosts." The leader's rage grew. "Fools! There are no ghosts. There are only tricks." Yet his words felt hollow. Even he had no answers for the disappearances, the strange sounds, the squads swallowed by the earth itself. For the first time in his long career, he felt something he had never known before: doubt. The panic spread further when a rescue team sent to recover trapped soldiers vanished completely. Their signals were strong one moment, then gone the next, leaving only silence. The alien commander stared at the screen, his chest tightening. His soldiers were not fighting humans. They were fighting the dark. They were fighting fear. And fear was winning. In the ruined streets, humanity's presence was almost invisible. No open battles, no large armies, only shadows, whispers, and traps. But those small attacks were far more powerful than any weapon. They were breaking the enemy's mind. As another night fell, the aliens gathered in their armored camps, their glowing eyes darting at every sound. They told themselves they were safe, that their armor was indestructible, but none of them believed it anymore. In the silence of the underground base, the human leader whispered to his team, "This is only the beginning. Tonight they fear the shadows. Tomorrow they will fear the very air they breathe." His words were calm, but his eyes burned with determination. The war was turning, and for the first time since the invasion began, humanity had the upper hand. The war reached a moment where everything began to change. The aliens who once marched with pride now moved through the ruined cities like hunted animals. Their armor still shone under the fires of destruction, but the glow no longer looked powerful. It looked desperate. Every squad that entered a tunnel or a street full of shadows risked never returning. The human traps were everywhere, and the aliens did not know where the next one would strike. In one part of the city, an alien convoy moved through a wide avenue. Their machines rolled forward, crushing wrecked cars under heavy tracks. The commander inside the lead vehicle spoke with forced confidence. "Stay alert. The humans are cowards. They cannot face us directly." But even as he spoke, the road beneath them gave a sudden shudder. Explosives hidden deep underground tore open the street, and the massive machines fell into the fiery pit below. The aliens inside screamed as their armor trapped them in burning wreckage. Those who crawled out were hit by collapsing buildings triggered by human charges. The city itself had become a weapon, and every stone, every street, every wall was an enemy. Another squad entered a factory, their glowing eyes scanning the broken machines and fallen pipes. Suddenly a wave of chemical smoke burst from the floor vents, filling the air with a thick green cloud. The aliens sealed their helmets and laughed, thinking the gas could not touch them. But minutes later, their breathing systems began to fail. The gas had eaten through the filters of their armor, turning their greatest strength into their death. They clawed at their helmets, trying to remove them, but their own suits refused to open. The resistance scientists watching from hidden cameras took notes, their voices calm. "Good. The more they trust the armor, the more they will suffer. Every suit is now a trap." Far away, in the underground base, the human leader studied the reports. His voice was quiet but strong. "We are no longer hiding. We attack on every front. We use the air, the water, the ground. Their armor cannot protect them from the world." And so the plan spread wider. In the tunnels, Entire rivers were redirected to flood passages. In the skyscrapers, fire traps were armed to unleash waves of heat and smoke. In the skies, human drones circled silently, dropping charges that forced the aliens into ambushes. The resistance did not need large armies. They needed only patience and creativity. Slowly, the Indestructible army began to fall. In their camps, the aliens argued with each other. Some demanded full retreat to their ships. Others demanded stronger attacks. But none had answers. Their commander still roared orders, still shouted that they were gods of war, but even his voice trembled now. Reports came in of soldiers refusing to leave their camps, refusing to patrol the streets. Some even turned their weapons on themselves, unable to bear the whispers in their helmets and the endless fear of the unseen enemy. For the first time in the invasion, the humans launched an open attack. It happened in the ruins of a stadium. Hundreds of alien soldiers gathered there, their black armor shining under the fires of the city. They thought they were safe in numbers. Then, from the tunnels below, the humans struck. Explosives ripped open the ground, sending fire and steel upward. Drones swarmed from the skies, shooting down the panicked aliens. The soldiers tried to fight back, but the stadium itself collapsed under hidden charges, burying them in dust and rubble. The survivors stumbled blindly, and waiting humans finished them with precise strikes. The message was clear. Humanity could strike anywhere, at any time. Panic spread like wildfire through the alien ranks. Their invincible army was no longer marching forward. It was stumbling backward, desperate to hold ground. The human leader watched the chaos unfold on his screens and whispered, "They thought they came to conquer. Now they fight to survive." Even the alien commander could no longer deny the truth. His warriors were breaking. His voice on the comms was still loud, but the soldiers no longer believed him. Their minds were filled with images of shadows, of collapsing walls, of drowning tunnels. They no longer saw humans as weak. They saw them as monsters hiding in the dark. And so the turning point arrived. Humanity, once broken and scattered, now stood tall. Their cities were in ruins, their weapons were simple, but their will was unbroken. Against all odds, they had turned fear into their weapon, and fear was something the aliens had never learned to fight. The great alien army that once walked with unshakable pride was now breaking apart piece by piece. Their armor still gleamed under the burning skies, but the light no longer inspired fear in humans. It only marked the invaders as targets. Across the ruined cities, more squads went silent every hour. Some drowned in tunnels filled with water, their indestructible suits dragging them into the depths. Others suffocated inside sealed helmets when the humans poisoned the air around them. Entire patrols were crushed when buildings, carefully wired with charges, collapsed at the perfect moment. The aliens had once believed their armor made them unstoppable, but now that same armor was their cage. Trapped inside, blind and heavy, they were dying in ways they had never imagined. In their camps, panic grew worse. Soldiers no longer marched out in neat formations. They huddled together, their glowing eyes darting in every direction. Every noise in the dark felt like an enemy. Every shadow felt alive. Some refused to leave their vehicles, others refused to move at all. The commanders shouted at them, but discipline was gone. Fear had eaten through their army faster than any weapon ever could. The human resistance knew this and pressed the advantage. In the underground base, the leader watched the reports with cold focus. "They are trapped by their own arrogance," he said. "Their armor cannot save them. We will finish this." His team nodded, already preparing the next stage. Across the battlefield, humans who once ran in fear now rose to fight. Civilians joined soldiers, setting traps, guiding drones, and spreading chaos. The aliens were larger, stronger, and armored, but they were clumsy in the ruins. Humans, small and fast, slipped through broken streets and hit them from angles they could not defend. Every day more aliens vanished, swallowed by the world they thought they had conquered. In one part of the city, a massive alien vehicle rumbled forward, its weapons glowing, its armor untouched by fire. But as it moved onto a bridge, explosives hidden in the supports ignited. The bridge collapsed, sending the giant machine crashing into the river below. The alien crew inside screamed as their heavy suits dragged them down, trapped in the dark water. Above, humans watched from the ruins and whispered, "Indestructible armor sinks like stone." In another place, an alien commander tried to rally his troops inside a factory. He shouted that the humans were weak, that victory was near. But as he spoke, a wave of fire burst through the windows, filling the building. The sealed suits protected the soldiers from flames for a short time, but the heat inside grew unbearable. They pounded on their helmets, desperate to escape, until one by one they collapsed. The survivors ran out screaming, only to be cut down by hidden human snipers. The fall of the Invincible was no longer a dream. It was reality. On their great ships above Earth, the alien leaders watched in silence. Reports of defeat filled their screens. Squads lost, commanders dead, morale broken. They had sent their strongest army, armed with technology that had crushed dozens of worlds. Yet here, against a species they called weak, their army was dying. One leader whispered in disbelief, "How can they be winning? Their weapons are nothing. Their armies are gone." Another answered with fear in his voice, "It is not their weapons. It is their minds. They turn their weakness into strength. They fight with the world itself." Back on the ground, the alien soldiers could no longer deny the truth. They had never faced an enemy like this. On other worlds, victory had been simple: march forward, burn everything, destroy resistance. But on Earth, every step forward was a trap. Every wall could collapse. Every street could flood. Every shadow could kill. Their greatest strength had become their greatest weakness, and now their army was falling apart. Humanity was not stronger, not faster, not better armed, but they were clever. They were relentless. They refused to break. In the dark ruins, the human leader stood before his people and spoke with quiet pride. "They believed we would fall. They believed we would beg for mercy. But this is our world, and we will never surrender. Tonight the Invincible will learn fear, and tomorrow they will learn defeat." His words spread through the resistance like fire. The humans, battered and scarred, rose with new courage. For the first time since the invasion began, hope was alive. And in the shattered streets above, the alien soldiers felt that hope pressing against them like a storm they could not stop. The fall of the Invincible had begun, and nothing could save them now. The alien commander sat inside the ruins of his forward base, his armored hands trembling against the console as he stared at the endless stream of failure reports. His army, once proud and unstoppable, was gone. Squads lost in tunnels, machines drowned in rivers, soldiers buried alive in collapsing buildings. Their indestructible armor had become their coffin. Every scream he heard through the comms reminded him that this world was not theirs to conquer. Outside the shattered walls, the city was alive with fire and shadow. Human drones buzzed above, hidden snipers watched from broken towers, and unseen traps waited under every street. The commander clenched his teeth and opened a channel to his superiors in orbit. His voice was raw with rage and fear. "You must hear this. The humans are not weak. Their weapons may fail, but their minds are sharper than any blade. They turn the ground against us, they turn the air against us, they turn fear itself into their weapon. Our armor is useless. Do not fight them. Do not ever fight them again." His words carried across the dark void to the fleet above, and for the first time his tone was not that of a conqueror but of a desperate survivor. Even as he sent the message, explosions shook the ground outside. The humans were closing in, their traps detonating one after another, cutting off every escape. His soldiers, what few remained, fought blindly, shooting into shadows, their voices filled with terror. Some begged for rescue, others shouted curses, but none dared to step into the dark streets alone. The commander looked around at his remaining men and saw it in their glowing eyes: defeat. These were warriors who once thought themselves gods, now reduced to frightened animals waiting for the end. He raised his weapon and tried to roar one last order, but his voice broke halfway, the sound of a leader who no longer believed his own words. Far below, In the human resistance base, the leader and his team listened as the alien broadcast was intercepted. They heard the commander's warning to his own people, and for a long moment the room was silent. Then the human leader spoke softly. He finally understands. Fear is stronger than armor. His words were calm, but in his eyes there was both triumph and sorrow. Triumph because humanity had survived the impossible. Sorrow because so much had been lost to reach this moment. On the surface, the end came quickly. The alien camps collapsed under coordinated attacks. Fires spread through their strongholds, drones swarmed over retreating squads, and traps triggered one after another until the ruins themselves swallowed the invaders whole. Those who tried to flee into tunnels drowned or suffocated. Those who ran into the open streets were picked off by hidden snipers. By dawn, the once invincible army was no more. Only broken machines and silent armored corpses remained scattered across the burning cities. Humanity had won, not with stronger weapons, but with unity, intelligence, and the will to never surrender. In orbit, the alien fleet received the last transmission of their commander. The leaders sat in silence as they replayed his desperate words. The message ended with his final whisper before the signal cut. Do not fight the humans. Their weakness is a lie. Their world is a weapon. Leave before it is too late. After that, the channel went dead. No further signals came from the ground. For a long time, the alien leaders said nothing. They had lost countless soldiers and machines to a species they had mocked. They had underestimated the humans, and that mistake had cost them everything. Some demanded revenge, but their voices were hollow. Others demanded retreat, and their silence showed fear. Finally, the fleet began to turn, their massive ships pulling away from the burning planet. Earth remained scarred, cities destroyed, millions dead, but it was still alive. Humanity had defended its home, and now the invaders were gone. In the underground base, the humans cheered, their tired voices echoing with relief and victory. The leader stood before them and raised his hand. This is not only a victory for us. This is a warning to the stars. Humanity will never kneel. If they come again, we will rise again. And we will always win. His words spread through the resistance like fire, filling broken hearts with hope. Yet even as they celebrated, the leader looked at the sky with quiet caution. He knew the message the aliens had sent back would not be ignored. Somewhere out there, more enemies had heard it. More armies would come. And when they came, they would not underestimate humanity again. The story of Earth's defense was no longer just a battle. It was a warning carved into the galaxy itself. Humanity had shown the universe that they were not weak, not fragile, not prey. They were survivors. They were hunters. And anyone who dared to invade their world would face the same fate. The ruins of the cities burned like torches, a grim reminder to all who looked upon them. The armor of the invincible lay silent in the dust, proof that arrogance could be destroyed and fear could topple giants. And as the sun rose over the shattered earth, one truth echoed louder than any alien broadcast. Humanity had endured, and humanity was unstoppable.